Hello, we are live! We are live. Is it going live? Yes, it's going live. I can see it in my other device really soon here. But we are live. We will talk about supernova and nova interesting facts. This is something I thought I would cover yesterday, but we were immersed in planetology, comparative planetology, utilizing, of course, the planets of our own solar system that we are so lucky to have, including but not limited to Jupiter, which really holds things in place, if you will. And then we talked about exoplanets, and we were very immersed in that. Hi, Ram Candy. Hello. Ram Candy, how are you? So, because thank you for liking the live. Yes, please do like the live. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But yes, we worked on planets and exoplanets last night, and I never got to supernova and nova. Yay! Hello. Hi, Ram Candy. Hello, Clicker. This was so cool and fun. Thank you. Fine, be you. I'm good. I'm good. I'm here. I did a swimming. I did my usual swimming, but before that, I did a sort of a class by mistake. Like the pool had a class going on, and I was just trying to snag a lane in the pool, and so I did the class so I could ensure that once the class was over, I could do my swimming. So that's how badly I need to swim and get a lane all to myself, is that I will even do the random class beforehand in order to ensure that that happens. But yes, it was good. It's been very, very cold here. I think it's going down to something like 2 Fahrenheit here today in the Boston area. But we are indoors. Thank you, universe, for all of the things that make us comfortable and indoors. And we will be talking about novae and supernovae. So N-O-V-A-E, plural of nova, and supernovae is the plural of supernova, which is how stars die. So indeed, this is the topic that we will talk about today. Sally says, hey, LHO Abhinash says, do you have a boyfriend? Might I ask how that is related? But also thank you everybody for all your comments and chat messages. Hello, hello. Excuse me. Sorry, that was a sneeze. I am here. Thank you, Sally says, bless you. Thank you, Sally. Welcome to the live. Welcome, welcome, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. Had a very please like the live. Thank you so much for being here. Hi, Steph Squires. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I see some very interesting messages in the chat sometimes, but thank you so much for being here. Welcome. Double Trouble says, hi. I see some new people in the chat today. How are you guys doing? How is everybody doing? Thank you so much for being here. I decided to have a very big sneeze, and I'm just catching up with everybody before we start the topic of the day today. And it's very cold here, so the kitty cats have all sort of migrated upstairs. They might show up here soon though. Double Trouble says hi. Shush Shush says yo. Hi, yo, hello. Double Trouble says God too. And what's up, gang? Johanne Maya says hi. Yes, please. If you want a shout out, then please do send us a chat message. Type a comment, and I will read your name and your comment. So thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you want to hear about supernova and nova? Are you ready? Or do you want to chat a little bit more? Say in the comments. Nitin Mishra says, where are you from? I am from the Indian subcontinent originally, but currently I'm in the US. Guy says, I'm sweaty. Okay, good to know. Double Trouble says, you are so pretty. Oh, thank you. Sigma Cool Dude says, no chat. Okay, chat. Okay, we can chat. Sigma Cool Dude, what do you want to chat about? What's up, everybody? Let's get this chat rolling. What's up, everybody? I'll hold off on the topic for a few more minutes. Let's chat. Let's get this chat going. Oh, I actually have to share the live. Does anyone want to share the live for me? Then it gets pushed out to more people. And you can even have your friend join the live if you want. It's too hot in my room. Geo97 says hi. Hi, Geo97. Sigma Cool Dude says, me, I will. Oh, thank you. Sigma Cool Dude, please do share the live. Like, share, subscribe, please. Thank you. Can we get to 10 likes? Double Trouble says, you're the first person to ever shout out to me. Of course. And I think I kind of like your username. I feel like people have called me that. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Sigma Cool Dude says, I will. Thank you. Yes, please. Share, share, share. Share the live, like the live, subscribe. Thank you for being here. It's going to be so much fun. We will cover a very interesting topic today. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Please do stay on the live with us. We will keep on chatting and then start the topic of the day. And thank you for being here. Thank you for liking the live. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing. Dino Reno says purple. Okay. Guy says, wait, what younglings to talk about? You're so prim and proper. That's just how I am, I suppose. Ellipsis says, what's the topic? The topic is nova and supernova. It is how stars die. That's the topic. We've been covering a lot of astronomy lately. So I cover physics, astronomy, astrophysics, and cosmology on the lives. So that's what we do. And today we will cover supernova. Interesting facts. Sigma Cool Dude says, are you going to read everyone's comments? I pretty much do. Yeah. Unless they're something despicable, I usually do read every comment. Sometimes I'm in the middle of the topic and what's the topic? I'm too dumb for this. Geo97, it's a great time to learn, and it's YouTube, it's free, so no worries. I think you'll enjoy it. Nobody's too dumb for this. I think it's going to be great. Ellipsis says, for real, what's the topic? It is for real astronomy. We're going to talk about nova and supernova. So yes, indeed, we will. We are going to reference this book. It's called Foundations of Astrophysics, written by Barbara Ryden and Bradley M. Peterson. We will talk about nova and supernova. Yes, so most of the time, I will read all the comments. Sometimes the live gets very crazy. So, for example, Doro here has joined. He's a mod on the live. Some of the people, including him, can make the chat extremely interesting. And then it becomes too much for me to read every comment. But mostly if it's quiet enough, then I do read every comment. I think our own star is going to go supernova in like 10,000 years or more. It's going to be more than that. But yes, at some point, the sun will definitely do that. Just happy to help. I'll calm down for you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I was just kidding, half kidding. The lives can definitely be a crazy place, but sometimes they can also be pretty calm. But both are good, you know. I just I appreciate the support and exposure here. So Double Trouble says, I'm a YouTuber. Oh, good. That makes two of us. I think our own star. Hey, everybody. What do Doro? But yeah. Okay. Awesome. Double Trouble says I'm a twin. Ooh. Oh, here's another here's a question. So here we got a bunch of snow. If you're getting snow right now, then put it in the comment. So that's an interesting thank you for the comment, Guy. We will look into the details of something like that here very soon. Dora says I got snow. Wow, I know different places are getting snow that I never would have thought. Indeed. Sigma Cool says, no, I'm not. No, you're not what? I forget what we were talking about, Sigma Cool. We had snow 2 days ago, 5 inches. Oh, maybe you're in the north, like me. Oh, I see. I forgot my own question. Are you getting snow is the question. And you said I wasn't getting snow. That's all good. If you're not from the US, totally fine. Welcome to the live. Welcome, welcome. Yay. You're here. We're live. Indeed, we are now gonna get going on the live. Let me just share it on my channel. Hey, you're here. There's my voice twice over because I pulled it up on my iPad. Tell me when to come on here. So okay, basically I go live on most nights, pretty much something like Sunday through Wednesday or Monday through Wednesday, especially. I think it's gonna be mostly the evening lives. Either I get started a little bit earlier in the evening or around now, maybe a little bit earlier, like 11 p.m. or so Eastern Standard Time is when I go live. And then, oh, I mean, I'll tell my twin if she can come on. Yes, of course. You should ask your twin to join as well. And then on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, yes, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I think I will be live sort of a little earlier, like afternoon time line to the evening. So that's sort of the plan for me. Sniff. Okay. Yes, I'm after I swim, I'm always a little sniffly, so sorry about that. She takes really long water breaks. My water is right here. It is true that I'm bad with time. Sometimes I go upstairs. There's an upstairs of this place. I go upstairs and I get distracted. I do one task and then I'm doing another one and then I forget that it's been like 10-15 minutes and then I come back and these guys are still there. So I must thank my audience members. They're very patient and they have a whole society of their own now within the live chats. So actually it's a fun time. If you stick around, you'll see some of this happen very soon here. I'm almost afraid to say what is going to happen, but things will happen. And if you stick around, you will see what it is that I speak of, and you will get to experience and participate in it. And for whatever parts that you're here, welcome. If you're seeing this as a video upload later on, also welcome to you and welcome to your entire country, family, wherever you're from, and feel very safe here. And we will be covering physics and astronomy. So thank you so much for your audience and for your patience. We feel very excited that you're here. Amia's journey. Amia says, hi, I'm back. If you remember me, I'm Amia. I don't know if I remember Amia, but thank you so much for being here. It's a very lovely name. I might remember you vaguely. Um, Thank you, though. Thank you so much for being here. Was my live still on? My name is Isabella. Isabella. What am I saying? Isabella? Isabella? Is that how you say it? For a huge cash donation, she will remember. Exactly. There's a PayPal link in my bio for you to donate at because YouTube still hasn't monetized me. But once YouTube monetizes me, my very rich friends like Doro will be sending me a super chat worth $1 million each. After all my hard work tolerating what it is that happens in these chats, I'll send you 50 cents. Are you serious? The first super chat better come from you, Doro. You guy or girl with a lot of money. What is Doto? That's awesome. I won't send anything, says Guy. Okay. You don't have to announce that you won't do something unless it's an awful thing that I guess you won't do. By the way, my name is pronounced Amia. Is that Amia? Is that not how I'm saying it? Not being rude, you just pronounced my name wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it Amia? Amia. 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 I feel like I'm being one of those people who keeps saying the name wrong. I understand it's a very annoying experience, actually. I'm the twin of Isabella. Hello, Double Trouble. It's close. Well, thank you, Amia. Amia. Sorry. If I heard it, of course, that would be better. So let's see. Did I say everybody's comment? I think I did. So, okay, 50 cents. All right. What is so funny? My twin is on here now. Okay. Well, I think these comments are excellent. Keep them coming. I'm enjoying meeting new people here on the live today. Sometimes I get more new people, and it's always a great experience to see more people here. But let me share the live, which I still haven't done. The crew will get in here pretty soon. Oh my God. Don't text your friend Grimmy, Doro. We are very much happier without him. No need to text him. No need. No need. No, thank you. We are live. If he wants to come here on his own and behave himself, that's fine. But usually, generally, methodically speaking, we are quite happy without him. Grimmy is passed out down the hallway. We have the same thing. He's on the work trip too. He drank too much. Really? Ooh, this is some tea. Ooh, can we get 10 likes? Thank you, guys. Thank ya. Thank you, everybody. Can we get 10 likes? And then I'll ask for 20 likes. He drank too much and he's passed out? Oh my gosh. YouTube never fails to amuse me. Okay, Guy. No tea. We all went out. I didn't drink. He did. We all went out. I didn't drink. He did. Grimmy has passed out. Yay, we got 11 likes. Thank you guys so much. Can we get 20 likes? But that is some news. I'm feeling so much better already. I'm feeling happy to the power infinity. He's passed out. Amazing. He won't be here. Yes. Just amazing. Well, thank you for being here, everybody. Iggy says hello. Hello, Iggy. How are you? Grimmy won't show up. Yes! I've timed him out a few times. Good job. You're my favorite YouTuber. Thank you. My name is Sophia. Wow, lovely name, Sophia. Amya says, I'm only here to say hi, but bye. Well, thank you for stopping by, Amya. Good night. We will now start to talk about the topic novae and supernovae. Novae. So let me start with a little story. It involves a very important person in astronomy called Tycho Brahe. This person is important because of some very interesting, I looked at the word, somebody said interesting here. Maybe I just imagined that. But he actually collected a lot of data, something that's very important in science, which is to sometimes you just have to collect a bunch of data and then you analyze it, or you have it and then someone else analyzes it. But it is very important to be a good observer and collector of data. So that's involved somewhere in this story. I can't believe I'm here. This is funny. We never landed on this person who says the thing. Iggy OG says, yes, we will talk about astronomy. Thank you for the emojis. I like that telescope emoji. I might have to leave soon. So, interesting username here. Oh, wow, look at that. Guy Fratelloni is a believer in that we landed on the moon. I absolutely agree with you, Guy. We did land on the moon. Double Trouble, Sophia says you're pretty. Thank you. Thank you, honey. So I think we have some kids in the live, by the way. So just be very careful. Keep it very family friendly, everybody. I know it's late, but control yourselves. Okay, so on the evening of 1572, November 11, 1572. So we are now going back, I don't even know, 500 years or something, long time ago. Any disbelief has to go to the Smithsonian. Yes, Guy. You know what, Guy Fratelluni? It would be amazing if you could say more on this topic. My phone battery is at 27. Well, it's a nice number. So, oh my goodness. Well, Smithsonian, you know. So, Guy, you should definitely share more comments about the moon landing here in the chat. That would be extremely helpful and educational for some very stubborn people who sometimes join the chat who don't believe that we landed on the moon, unfortunately. I will keep going while you do that. I will delegate and divide and conquer. So, on the evening of 1572, November 11, look at that. Nice day. Tycho Brahe was contemplating the night sky when he saw what he thought was a new star in the constellation of Cassiopeia. So nova is actually new star. So he thought that there was a new star because it looked like this new thing, and he used to collect data on the skies a lot. And so he would know because he collected data very diligently. And later on, actually, this data helped us a lot to know our current laws of the planetary motion and everything, which came from Kepler, who actually inherited this data from Tycho Brahe. So we're going to even talk about that topic as well today. But right now, let's talk about the nova and supernova. So he thought there was a new star in the constellation of Cassiopeia, since this was a blow to the Aristotelian dogma that no new stars can appear in the heavens. So remember that there was this whole sort of controversy, if you will, about whether it's a heliocentric solar system or a geocentric solar system. And there was a lot of dogma associated with the sun being at the center instead of the earth, and certain other things that people believed to be true, where the heavens were fixed and could not be changed, and things like that. And like the earth was considered very special. The earth had a moon, its own satellite, and that was considered special. So again, we've talked about the moons of Jupiter, the Galilean moons of Jupiter, and one huge significance, for example, of the Galilean moons of Jupiter is that it showed that another planet in the solar system had satellites. So the Earth was not special in that sense. There was another whole planet that we were able to observe now because of Galileo, who showed that this was the case. But before that time, Galileo comes a little bit later, but before that time, there was a lot of dogma associated with any changes happening in the heavens, so to speak. And so this new star appearing is no joke, right? So let's see what this is about. So since this was a blow to the Aristotelian dogma that no new stars can appear in the heavens, Tycho rushed into print with his new work, De Nova Stella, on the new star. Following the lead of Tycho, astronomers applied the term nova to unresolved celestial objects whose flux increases by a large amount over a short period of time, giving the impression of a new star appearing in the sky. So this is the impression of a new star, not really a new star. We will see that it has to do with a star dying, etc. But back then, they were thinking, oh my gosh, there is this new star appearing with transient flux and whatnot, and this was a really big deal back then because of the dogma associated, of course, with any changes in the heavens. What is happening in this chat now? Oh, yeah. Okay, yes, see how the chat is now heating up. Great job, everybody. Thank you for being here. Feel free to add your comments in the chat. Sometimes it goes too fast and I'm still in the middle of reading, but I do try to catch everybody and say hi to everyone. Thank you for being here, everybody. Thank you, Guy, Doro, Double Trouble, Reese, Reese again, Evening Doro. Now we need James, Ajay, Steven, and Batman. Iggy, thank you. We landed on the moon for sure and it belongs to USA. Wow. Look at that. Reese, Ondry works at MIT apparently. Okay. Geo97, you're welcome. Guy Fratelloni, I'm up against this Capricorn 1 watcher. I have to leave, says Double Trouble. Well, good night if you're leaving, and if you're joining, thank you so much for being here. Yay! We love it. We love that you're here. So, impression of a new star appearing in the sky. We will see how it's not quite a new star. Sort of the opposite of that in the sense that a star is dying. But back in the day, an observation is still valid. If something looks like something to you, you still should write it down. And there is your data, there's your observation, and always can learn more about it. Okay, so when a nova produces an outburst of light, its luminosity can briefly increase by a very large factor. We will see how sometimes these luminosity increases can be quite dramatic, and we will give some numbers and comparisons for that. So, for example, consider the nova V1500 Cygni, seen in the year 1975. So I will show you a picture of this actually very soon here. Before its outburst, V1500 Cygni was an inconspicuous object with an MV of around 20. Yes. At the, I should probably define for you what that is, but we'll keep going for now. At the peak of its outburst, it had an MV of around 2. So this has to do with magnitude. I'm just trying to make sure of one thing though. This M, the small m, is that apparent magnitude, or you know what? I should have. Sometimes we say, this is the trouble with starting a topic from a mid part of the chapter. So I can't quite remember whether MV is an apparent magnitude or an absolute magnitude, and I don't see it right away, but we will keep going. Who cares? We will keep going. So the number that was 2 before was now 20. So you can see this thing has suddenly more luminosity. Absolute, I believe, okay? So before its outburst, V1500 Cygni was an inconspicuous object. So nothing, no big deal with MV of around 20. At the peak of its outburst, it had MV around 2, making it the second brightest source in Cygnus, after the star Deneb. At maximum, therefore, the flux of V1500 Cygni has increased by a factor of 10 to the 0.4 times 20 minus 2, which is around 2 times 10 to the 6. So that's the whole sort of number there. And the sharp rise to maximum flux was followed by a gradual decline over the course of months. So basically, it doesn't really matter exactly what units or what things we talk about here with the numbers, but there's a sharp rise to the maximum flux and then a gradual decline over the course of months. Now, we talked about transients that are even shorter, where the sudden increase in flux is even more, oh, someone caught it on a telescope. Okay. So the sudden increase in flux and then the falling off of the flux happens on even faster time scales, for example, for a transient event like a gamma ray burst. So we spent like a whole live session or two talking about gamma ray bursts. But here we're talking about what? Oh, hello. Hello, everybody. One of your other channels came up. I subscribe real quick. Thank you. Yes, please. Please do subscribe. Ooh, can we get 20 likes? Can we get 20 likes? Hello, Ace Wolf Peach. Hello, Mac tonight. Hello, Guy. Hello, everybody. What? Okay, the chat has gone nuts already. All right. So this sharp rise to the flux was followed by a gradual decline over the course of months. So that same sort of sharp rise and then decline we talked about in the case of gamma ray bursts, it's really more slow in the case of a nova, or supernova. The gradual decline here is happening over the course of months, not just some seconds or days or something like that. The modern definition of nova states that a nova is a type of cataclysmic variable as opposed to a pulsating variable like a Cepheid, in which a normal star dumps gas onto a white dwarf. So apparently there's this thing called a Cepheid in which a normal star dumps gas onto a white dwarf. A nova is actually a closed binary system in which a star and a white dwarf orbit their mutual center of mass. Wow. 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 Okay. That's kind of new. So the modern definition of nova states that a nova is a type of cataclysmic variable. Cataclysmic, okay, that's good. Supernovas are definitely cataclysmic, in which a normal star dumps gas onto a white dwarf. So white dwarfs are the stellar remnant associated with lower mass stars. And apparently nova, not supernova, but just nova, is a normal star dumping gas onto a white dwarf. Okay, we'll keep going. Thus, a nova is actually a closed binary system. Actually, oftentimes these interesting things are associated with the binary. A neutron star merger, for example, that's a binary system. But here, okay, some normal star onto a white dwarf. Okay, so closed binary system in which a star and a white dwarf orbit their mutual center of mass, tossing material onto a compact object such as a white dwarf or neutron star is an excellent way to convert gravitational potential energy into thermal energy. Oh my God! Wait, you remember that? Reese, this is an old story that has been brought up. I did not know that. Did you know that White Dwarf was an English gaming magazine back in the 80s? True story, not on me though, on some poor girl. Ace Wolf remembers that story? I had forgotten that story. It was told on this live. Doro, were you here? Oh my gosh. Sorry, I have to pause and address this. It feels like freaking months ago. Doro, you have to hear this. This was some hot tea that was spilled on this live stream between Reese it was quite the story, and it happened here on the live anyway. But I can't believe that Ace actually remembered that. Look at what my lives are being associated with. Look at it. It was Fight Club that night. Wow. Okay, so tossing material. I'll keep going here. You guys can catch up on the story. You can just listen to astronomy in the background while you discuss the gory details of this. But Doro doesn't know about that. Doro was an innocent person back then. He became uninnocent here. Okay. Astronomy voiceover. Tossing material onto a compact object such as a white dwarf or neutron star is an excellent way to convert gravitational potential energy into what is happening right now? Into thermal energy and then into photons. So gravitational potential energy going into thermal energy and then into photons. Sorry, I'm distracted. However, we still need to explain why pouring gas onto a white dwarf produces sudden cataclysmic outbursts of light rather than a steady glow. Because, you know, supernovas are definitely explosions. So honestly, I'm a little surprised that, you know, nova is apparently, I thought nova, I'm learning this myself right here, right now with you guys. I thought nova would just be a smaller supernova, but apparently it's this stuff with the star and the white dwarf. So interesting, very interesting. Oh my God. Oh, shut up. Let's look at what happens when a star expands past its Roche limit and pours gaseous hydrogen onto its close companion, a white dwarf, which is a stellar remnant. Thank you very much. The outer layers of a star are actually a mix of hydrogen and helium with a smattering of heavier elements. Hi, Guy. It would be lovely if you did not report anybody or anything because I'm just a small YouTuber. Please don't hurt this channel. Thank you so much. Let people just be, you know, say their things. It's a bit of it's a community here. They talk, and we also cover astronomy. So they can't say it. They're not saying it anymore. Reese, don't use that word. They're not saying it anymore. They're just sharing a story. It's a safe space for people to share their stories. And they're not saying... I know, I get it. Yeah. They're not saying that word anymore. All done. Yay. For simplicity, though, let's assume it's pure hydrogen that's being dumped. Forget it, forget it. Forget it, forget it. Move on, move on, move on. Continue the story without saying the S word. I don't know. I don't think, you know, the context is important. They were just trying to share a story from the past. And I did think it was striking that this guy remembered the story from like 2 months ago. Yeah, it's just a story in the past. People can chat. Reese, do you understand what's happening now? I don't need any more drama. Say your story without using that word. Wait, do we know that? I thought in that story, he was just trying to... Now I have to go up and read the story again. Yes, yes, say it like that. You should have no problems with English words, Mr. Belgian. Exactly. Have fun with it. I mean, not that this is a very, happy topic. But it's just a story from the past. But Reese, you didn't say the full story, the significance of that girl. Dora doesn't have the full picture yet. Anyway, I'll keep going. The legend of the rebound glass ceiling guy. Yes, just say glass ceiling guy. Did he buy? Oh my god. No, oh my god. I think I'm remembering when Reese first told this story. It was sort of towards the end of the live when we were like done and shooting the shit. So it's almost like a nostalgic moment for me now. I'm like, wow, we even have memories from past lives now. Look at us. We've come so far. But Reese was sharing this story. And yeah, we have a memory of it now. So, so for simplicity of this calculation, let's assume that pure hydrogen is being dumped by the star onto the white dwarf. Because the surface gravity of the white dwarf is high, the hydrogen is flattened into a layer with a short, scale height. This height is given as kT over g mu mp, which is equal to a bunch of other stuff. As hydrogen is poured on, as long as the atmospheric temperature T is roughly constant, the scale height h remains the same. Thus, as more and more hydrogen is poured into the layer of constant scale height, the density as the base increases steadily until it reaches the point where the electrons become degenerate. So remember how white dwarfs, which are a stellar remnant of the lower mass stars, the other stellar remnants being neutron star and black holes, white dwarfs are held together by electron degeneracy pressure. So this is kind of doing more of that. So as the hydrogen relentlessly continues to pile on, the pressure and density at the base of the degenerate hydrogen layer must continue to increase to maintain. Their food is falling. As the hydrogen relentlessly continues to pile on, the pressure and density at the base of the degenerate hydrogen. I think this guy believed in electron degeneracy pressure. Hydrogen layer must continue to increase to maintain hydrostatic equilibrium. He was trying to maintain hydrostatic equilibrium with the glass ceiling. Oh my God, Grimmy is up. When the density is sufficiently high, fusion of hydrogen to helium via the proton-proton chain begins with the hydrogen flash, analogous to the helium flash with which solar mass stars begin helium flash. We talked about this a little bit when we discussed the sun. The material on the white dwarf's surface becomes, in effect, a hydrogen fusion bomb. So with all of that piling off of the stuff onto the white dwarf by the star, it basically makes a hydrogen bomb, just low-key like. A bright nova is observed to release as much as an energy of around 10 to the 38 joules of energy. So that is less than a supernova. Okay, great. So less flux than a supernova, which goes consistent with the fact that nova is small, supernova is bigger. The energy released by fusing hydrogen to helium is around 6.4 times 10 to the 14 joules per kilograms. Thus, a bright nova requires a mass of hydrogen equal to around 10 to the 23 kilograms. This is roughly the mass of the moon, to give a comparison. Wow. Here's the moon now, back in this picture. The energy released by the fusion of degenerate hydrogen is sufficient to blow the outer layers of non-degenerate hydrogen into space. The nova GK Persei, for instance, had a major outburst in 1901 February. A century later, it was surrounded by an expanding gaseous nebula. Measurement of Doppler shifts tell us that the gas is expanding with a speed of 1,200 kilometers per second. Wow. I agree that he was a bit overboard. And the overboard part can at least be hidden or timed out. And I mean, you know who. EMC squared himself right into. Oh my God. Thank you. I love this channel. Yay. No, don't say that. Guy, you tell them. Tell them about the moon landing. Guy, you should give us more facts from the moon landing. It would be greatly helpful. So much helium would I need for a all one. James is here. All right, James, get it out. Get it out. Get it over with. But just be careful. Don't go overboard. I've asked Reese to time you out if you go overboard. And can we get 20 likes? Oh my God! James, good life. Do one good thing and like the live. Good. Thank you so much for liking the live. Ace Wolf, all yours. Go for it. I'll continue with the white dwarf situation here. Well, thank you, Woodlife. Don't encourage him. Since the white dwarf itself is unharmed by the nova explosion, because white dwarfs are pretty much, they're already a dead star. What are you going to do to a white dwarf, right? Kimmy! Hi, Kimmy. James Woodlife, say something about planets. Hi, Kimmy. She likes you. Who likes who? Uh, James Woodlife. Thank you. Who likes who? What? What are you talking about? What's the second planet? James Woodlife. Thank you, Kimmy. Aww. Thank you, Kimmy. Now I can continue with the white dwarf stuff with more passion because you're here, Kimmy. Okay. And James Woodlife, if you're looking for input on what to say here, perhaps tell us something about planets in our solar system, those ones, the real planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Earth, Mars, Venus, Mercury, any one of them. Thank you so much in advance. Since the white dwarf itself is unharmed by the nova explosion, novae tend to be recurrent phenomena. The more energetic the outburst, the longer the time until the next outburst. So, yes. So because it's kind of interesting that the white dwarf itself, it's not going anywhere, and this sort of thing can kind of happen again with the nova. So the more energetic the outburst, the longer the time until the next outburst. And dwarf novae have an interval break basically between outbursts of 3 weeks to 2 years. Recurrent novae have an outburst every few decades. Bright novae like V1500 Cygni are probably recurrent phenomena as well, with outbursts every 1,000 to million years. So we're talking about nova, which is not supernova. They're kind of different. Novae are energetic events. The brightest nova outburst can produce as much light in a week as the sun does in 10,000 years. So still very bright, still a lot of luminosity. Not as luminous as supernova, as we will find out soon here, but pretty interesting, right? However, novae pale in comparison with supernovae. Same thing. What I was saying just now. Which have absolute magnitudes that are at least 7 magnitudes brighter than the brightest novae. The term supernova, the hyphen has since vanished. Yeah, so nova is, you would think that nova is just a small supernova. It is a cataclysmic event, but it's kind of different than a supernova. A supernova is a stellar death, whereas a nova is apparently something that's happening within a binary system where a star is dumping on some stuff onto a white dwarf. And because the white dwarf doesn't get really harmed in the process, it's almost like even after the nova explosion, this type of thing can happen again, and the nova can go off, or the explosion can happen again. So it could be anywhere between an interval of 3 weeks to 2 years. Or you could have recurrent novae having an outburst every few decades. It's almost like, active volcano can kind of be dormant, but then it can go off again. It's sort of like that in the case of a nova, whereas supernova is the death of a star. So once it dies, it will become a stellar remnant. Depending on mass, it will be either a white dwarf or a neutron star or a black hole. But a nova seems to be it's sort of different. So it still involves, I guess, a dead star or a stellar remnant, the white dwarf. So maybe that's why, I don't know, it's clubbed together with supernova. But it sounds like this is a very interesting and different process. Wood life, that's the level we like. Keep it that way. Keep it that way. We don't need any more details than that. Thank you so much. Wood life, you're doing a great job today. I hope you liked the live, and I think the level that you're writing at right now is just the right level. We don't need any more than that. No more. Thank you, Kimmy. So, novae are energetic events. The brightest nova. Thank you. I wouldn't say that it was fake, but there is a limit. What? All right, I'm going to focus here. Novae are energetic events. The brightest nova outburst can produce as much light in a week as the sun does in 10,000 years. However, novae pale in comparison with supernovae, which have absolute magnitudes that are at least 7 magnitudes brighter than the brightest novae. The term supernova, the hyphen has since vanished, was first proposed by Fritz Zwicky. This guy, Zwicky, is kind of an interesting guy, actually. We might learn more about him later on. And Walter Baade in 1934, so not too long ago, when they suggested that outbursts of light much brighter than ordinary novae would be produced when the core of a massive star collapsed to form a neutron star. Thank you, Kimmy. Aww. Astronomers. Oh yeah, where's Steven? I look tired. Here you go, Ace Wolf. Ace Wolf, please have at it. Astronomers, once they acknowledged we support you, Steven, just as Wendy wanted. What do you mean? Steven? Yeah, of course we support Steven. It's okay. Oh, thank you, Kimmy. You look good to me. I don't see tiredness. It's okay, Doro. You can be tired. It's fine. We get it. Thank you. Please do spam on the heart button. All right. Astronomers, once they acknowledged the existence of these extraordinarily luminous supernovae, classified them according to their spectra. So at first, they realized, well, supernova are a lot more bright and luminous than the nova, like 7 magnitudes brighter than the nova. But then, they classified them according to their spectra, because in astronomy, spectra is very, very important. Can we get 20 likes Simply enough, they distinguished between type 1 and type 2 supernovae. Type 1 supernovae do not show hydrogen absorption lines, such as the Balmer lines in their spectra. Type 2 supernovae do show hydrogen absorption lines. So type 1 supernovae do not show hydrogen absorption lines. Type 2 supernovae do show hydrogen absorption lines. Hi, Marina. Hello, Marina. How are you? He's our gravity. 20 likes. Let's get 20 likes. Yes, please, 20 likes. This is true. I don't like most guys. As we can see, guys are no good. Not good news. It turned out that type 2, we need more like Kimmy. Look at Kimmy. Learn from Kimmy. What did you remove? Oh, thank you, Kimmy. You tapped a like. James Woodlife is saying he will be back soon. Oh gosh. Now, Seth, happy morning. How are you? How's Nepal? I think you're from Nepal, if I remember correctly. How are you doing? It turned out that type 2 supernovae are the core collapse supernovae we discussed. We actually did discuss type 2 supernovae or core collapse supernovae at one point. And so that hopefully helps. I'm good, trying. So when we talked about the creation of neutron stars, I'll try to keep going. No, I like your comments, Kimmy. Ace Wolf. Okay, so type 2 supernovae, the ones that do show hydrogen absorption lines, are associated with core collapse supernovae. We discussed this earlier, and we talked about how they created neutron stars as the stellar remnant. They have hydrogen absorption lines because the outer layers... Ace Wolf, be more creative. They have hydrogen absorption lines because the outer layers of a massive star are typically rich in hydrogen. Fusion destroys hydrogen only in the deeper, hotter layers. Astronomers, so the hydrogen absorption lines come because they are typically rich in hydrogen. Fusion destroys hydrogen only in the deeper, hotter layers. Astronomers, so because like not, you know, the fusion into something else might not be happening right on the surface. Astronomers had difficulty understanding type 1 supernovae until they made a further subdivision into type 1a and type 1b. Dora is going to bed already? You've really given up. I'm not mad. I'm asking him. He can do better. He can do better. We have a situation here. He can do better. And 20 likes. Where's my 20 likes? Apparently Doro is going to bed after doing damage. Keep us on, Doro. It's okay. So type 1a supernovae have neither hydrogen lines nor helium lines. If she just talked crap at the chat, her stream would blow up. Really? Should I talk crap at the chat? Y'all, you bad people. I was going to say bad boys, but I think there are sometimes one or two women here who are it's like kids are passing notes while teacher is teaching but are still learning at the same time. She's too sophisticated for that. That is true. Born and bred. Sophisticated. Oh, look, there is more people. People, join us. And hello, everybody. Thank you so much. We're talking about supernovae. I think I'm better equipped for that. Type 1a supernovae have neither hydrogen lines nor helium lines. After they decline from their maximum luminosity, the strongest absorption lines are of iron, which is very nice. So iron, nice. Iron is made in these things. Type 1b supernovae have strong helium lines and no hydrogen lines. So we know that type 1 means no hydrogen lines, but type 1a means no hydrogen lines and no helium lines, but they do have iron absorption lines, and type 1b supernovae have strong helium lines and no hydrogen lines. Iron. Hi, Mehrana. Thank you. Hi, Mehrana. Says Iran. So yeah, this is iron, the element Fe, ferrous. Nothing to do with the country, Iran, unfortunately. Or fortunately. Yes. Okay. Type 1b supernovae, aside from their lack of hydrogen absorption, and thank you also to Kimmy. She says, I'm personally grateful for her choosing to keep it about educating people. Thank you. Aw, thank you so much. Iron Fe. Right. Ooh, please like the live. Type 1b supernovae, aside from their lack of hydrogen absorption lines, are very similar to type 2 supernovae. It is thought that type 1b supernovae are massive stars that completely lost their hydrogen-rich outer layers in a strong stellar wind and then underwent core collapse. Because remember, you can have these other steps that will make you lose your outer layers with the strong stellar winds, and then maybe you don't show up in the hydrogen lines. And then they underwent core collapse. The difference between type 1b and type 2 supernovae is literally superficial. They have the same physics at heart. Aw, a type 1a supernova is something completely different. So, so basically, if you're a type 1b supernova and you lost your hydrogen-rich outer layers because of stellar winds, and then you had a core collapse, well, core collapse is basically also what happens in type 2 supernovae, right? So that's why they're saying it's a superficial difference. They have the same physics at heart, because type 2 supernovae is basically core collapse supernova, but showing the hydrogen lines, meaning that the outer layers of hydrogen are not lost. But the core collapse is common. It's still happening. Yes, awesome. Type 1b, understanding so far. Perfect. A type 1a supernova is something. A type 1a supernova is something completely different. They produce around 10 to the 44 joules of energy without detectable hydrogen or helium present and end up as a cloud of hot gaseous iron. To see how a type 1a supernova could be created, consider a white dwarf made of carbon that is just barely below the Chandrasekhar limit, or the Chandrasekhar mass, which was, remember, it was about 1.4 solar masses. Additional material from a companion star is then poured onto the white dwarf. So we kind of saw that with the case of the nova. As the last straw is placed on the camel's back, or less figuratively, as the last hydrogen atom is placed on the white dwarf is nudged over the Chandrasekhar limit and starts to collapse. So a cataclysmic event happens. The density increases until runaway fusion of carbon begins. Ooh. Think of it as a carbon flash, because runaway fusion of carbon needs some trigger. Basically, think of it as a trigger, which now creates fusion of carbon. The entire white dwarf, all 1.4 solar mass of it, becomes a fusion bomb. So just like we were kind of talking about the nova being a hydrogen bomb, this is kind of like a carbon fusion bomb, basically, being a type 1a supernova. Because basically what they're saying is type 1b and type 2 supernovae, those are the core collapse type of supernova. This has to do with a white dwarf on which a companion star is piling on material. And remember how white dwarfs were stabilized because of electron degeneracy pressure. So there's only so much, and they had a Chandrasekhar mass limit, which was 1.4 solar masses. So much more than that, and you're going to destabilize the white dwarf. So here, as the companion star is piling on more and more material, the last straw, think of it literally as the last hydrogen atom, there comes a point where it leads to a cataclysmic event or a collapse, and the density increases until a runaway fusion of carbon begins. It's almost like a trigger for more nuclear physics to happen. Basically, like if things weren't getting more extreme, if the environment wasn't getting more extreme, then more heavier elements would not be forming. So like hydrogen flash, helium flash, carbon flash, these are basically those trigger points after which the nuclear physics can happen more. And a heavier thing being fused together makes even more heavier things. So this, so now let's look at a little bit of building up. Yeah, so in nuclear physics, basically the nuclei join together to make a heavier nuclei, but it takes a certain energy to do that. And if you're making a stable nucleus at the end, it will have a higher binding energy. Yeah. And so we talked about how helium-4 has a peak in binding energy distribution. So once you make helium-4, it's a very stable nucleus. And its binding energy that's released, making it stable, is high. The same thing is true, but even better for iron. So once you make an iron nucleus, that too is very stable. Not every nucleus is equally stable. Not every nucleus is made equal. But pretty much when you do, just like in chemistry, you need a certain amount of energy, even to like fuse hydrogen and oxygen together to make water requires that spark, that extra energy, right? Even chemistry or a chemical reaction does not happen without that energy. Same thing in nuclear reactions. You can't just have a nuclear reaction happen without some sort of energetic trigger, some boundary being crossed, and then it's like, oh my God, yes, this environment is too crazy. I'm gonna have to fuse carbon nuclei now. That's what this white dwarf is thinking. Like the white dwarf may not have wanted to do this nuclear fusion, but now it's in an environment due to its let's just say due to its maybe too much companion, due to its companion who is piling on a lot. It now has to do this extra nuclear fusion, but that can also enrich it. So let's see what happens, right? We can see what happens next, but pretty much suppose the initial mass of carbon is 1.4 solar masses, which is around 2.8 times 10 to the 30 kilograms, because we know the mass of the sun. The energy released by fusing carbon into iron is around 1.0 times 10 to the 14 joules per kilogram. So we know the energy that would be released by this. This is only 16% as much energy per kilogram as you get by fusing hydrogen into helium, but it's still a substantial energy release. So when you fuse hydrogen together to make helium, that's better. That's even more energy. That's what our sun does, by the way. So the total energy released by fusing the white dwarf into iron. So it's almost like this white dwarf was made of something else, but now it fuses carbon to make iron and it releases energy. And that energy is around 2.8 times 10 to the 44 joules. So this is larger than the magnitude of the white dwarf's gravitational potential energy before the collapse. Thus, the entire white dwarf is now blown to smithereens. It was going to be stable, but now it cannot be. See, if you have an unstable companion or partner, you yourself can become unstable and get blown to smithereens. In the nova case, the companion was piling on to the white dwarf, but the nova is a smaller event, so it leaves the white dwarf mostly unharmed. But in this case, in the supernova type 1a case, unfortunately for the white dwarf, it is blown to smithereens. And a 1.4 solar mass of iron, so now the carbon is now iron now. Carbon has been fused to make iron, so it's 1.4 solar masses, which is the Chandrasekhar limit for a white dwarf, of iron is mixed into the interstellar medium. So once you've blown a white dwarf up into smithereens, because it could not be a stable white dwarf. Yes, if the white dwarf was single, it would have survived. But because of this unstable partner, it's blown up into smithereens. First, it went through a lot of growth. So some growth is good. Yes, that's true. I do show pictures sometimes. So some growth is good. When it's the once the level of a nova was leaving the white dwarf still there. But in this case, it's too much of an explosion. It's too big of a cataclysmic event. And even after turning all that material to iron, it still gets blown up. But the nice thing is now it will enrich its environment. So we get iron mixed into the interstellar medium because of this white dwarf being blown up, which is kind of nice. Now we have iron in the interstellar medium, and it can go into gaseous nebula, and it can then become planets and our sun, like in our own solar system. We all come from a gaseous nebula or gaseous cloud of some type with lots of material, which ultimately condensated under certain thank you. under certain conditions, and that gaseous nebula ultimately comes from these types of deaths of stars and stellar remnants. So this type of death is very important for you and me to be here. This is how we are here. If this white dwarf had not, if white dwarfs like this had not blown up into smithereens and put things like iron into the interstellar medium, we would not have things like iron in gaseous clouds or nebula, which ultimately condensate to make our sun and other planets, such as in our own solar system. So yeah, it all comes full circle. Type 1a supernovae are a major source of iron in our galaxy. The fact that we have iron in the galaxy is because of this type of supernova, okay? They don't produce detectable amounts of elements more massive than iron. These all come from core collapse supernovae. So something like, say, if you like gold, that's a much heavier element. For that, you would need a core collapse supernova. So we have these types of stellar deaths and stellar remnant deaths to thank for every heavier element, especially if you have a favorite one. You can put it in the chat and we can say, yes, it comes from a star. If it is heavier than helium, for sure, it comes from a star, and we come from stars and them blowing up and dying and spewing all of their materials into the interstellar medium, which then later on might form gaseous clouds and gaseous nebula, which then condensate, and then. So this Tychos, so 1b and 2a, or sorry, there's no 2a, type 2 supernovae and type 1b supernovae are core collapse supernovae, and those will give you the heavier elements, even heavier than iron. But type 1a supernovae are a major source of iron in our galaxy because those involve a white dwarf that was forced to grow due to its relationship with a companion star and then had to die. Tycho's nova stella of 1572 turns out to have been a supernova. So that's what I thought. Then I was confused about because of the nova discussion, but yeah, I thought this was a supernova. According to our current scheme of nomenclature, when we turn our telescopes toward Cassiopeia, we see a supernova remnant at the position recorded by Tycho. So Tycho took a lot of data, and thanks to him, we have this type of information where we would have seen a supernova remnant at that position. The spectrum of Tycho's supernova remnant is rich in iron. There's no evidence for a pulsar or a central dense object of any kind. So remember, yeah. So remember the remember the pulsar discussion we had and how basically we think that neutron stars are pulsars. So if there's no evidence for a pulsar or a central dense object of any kind, the evidence indicates that Tycho's nova stella was a type 1a supernova. Because remember how core collapse supernova generally result in neutron stars, or well, if they're really massive stars, then they would result in a black hole. So if you're not finding a pulsar in the place where a supernova might have happened, then that's more consistent with a type 1a supernova, which would have dealt with a white dwarf. So a brief summary now of novae and supernovae. Nova is where the energy source is a fusion of hydrogen to helium on the surface of a white dwarf. So this is basically piling on happening on the surface of a white dwarf from its companion star. And pretty much that's leading to fusion of hydrogen to helium. And the energy output is something like 10 to the 38 joules or less. Then we have type 1a supernova. This is the energy source. Here is fusion of carbon and oxygen, actually, some of it, to iron. So nuclear fusion happens, also the backstory is that there is a white dwarf on whom piling on is being done by its companion star. And this leads to an even more sort of extreme environment, which supports the fusion of carbon to make iron. And the energy output is around 10 to the 44 joules and does end up destroying the white dwarf. And then lastly, we have type 2 or 1b supernova. Whether it is called type 2 or 1b is dependent on the hydrogen lines, whether those are there or not. And the hydrogen lines come from pretty much if the outer layers of the star was lost with stellar winds or not. So it's more of a detail, but the core collapse part is definitely happening. So this is a core collapse type of supernova. We talked about those briefly earlier. We can review that as well. But the energy source here is gravitational potential energy. This is pretty much the core of the star is collapsing. It's too much. It's very heavy. It's built a big belly. And it can no longer power itself with more nuclear fusion, and it collapses upon itself and collapses upon its own gravitation. And gravity wins and core collapse happens. Okay, so this energy is even more. It is 10 to the 46 joules being outputted, including neutrinos. So we also spoke about how neutrinos are a big output as well for these core collapse supernovae. The photon luminosity is actually slightly greater for type 1a supernovae than for type 2 supernovae. So because remember, the energy output includes photons as well as neutrinos and whatever else. So this is interesting, not something one might have guessed. The photon luminosity is actually slightly greater for type 1a supernovae than for type 2 supernovae. For type 1a supernovae, the maximum luminosity is around 4 times 10 to the 9 the sun's luminosity in the V band. Supernovae are rare events, about 1 per century in our galaxy. About 1 per century in our galaxy. So we could see one with type 2 supernovae slightly more common than type 1a. So type 1a is, the type 1a is where you have a companion and everything. And that's like, I guess that's kind of more rare. But not that many systems are binaries though. Unfortunately, supernovae within our galaxy are often hidden from us by dust. There's a lot of dust in the galaxy, guys. So, even if one is happening, we might not see it. The most recent naked eye supernova was supernova 1987A. There you go. 1987 did have one in the Large Magellanic Cloud. I'm always intrigued by such things because the Large Magellanic Cloud is basically where supernova 1987A happened. And eventually it could lead to a little system of planets and stars or something. So how crazy is that, right? So that's a little bit of a summary. We can always go back over and see. This was a bit of a summary of the supernova this was a bit of a summary on the nova and supernova. Let me read your comments. Good relationship advice. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the live, and please like the live. I'm going to show some pictures here soon here. Maybe if people could see pictures of these facts, they'd be more like to watch your channel. Thank you. Wandering Iron Cloud. Oh, thank you. I platonically adore you. Oh, thank you so much. I love smart people, especially people like Professor Oindripi, who teaches for free. Thank you. It collapses because of itself. Yes. So stars are massive And pretty much the main two things happening within a star, the main two sort of phenomena, are its own gravitation. It's very massive, so it has its own gravitation. And then stars are basically nuclear reactors. There's a nuclear reactor in the belly of a star, including our own sun, which is making helium out of hydrogen. So, but like I was mentioning a bit ago, the nuclear reaction itself needs a certain extreme environment. So depending on what type of, how hot it is, how, pretty much, yeah, how hot it is, how much energy are we talking, nuclear reaction will require a certain level of that within the star. So it's not like maintaining nuclear reactions endlessly is very possible. Even within the very extreme environments of a star, it could actually run out of nuclear power, especially after it makes iron. Iron, as I was mentioning, is a very stable nucleus. It'll start to basically make an iron core. So where everything is just making more and more iron, and iron is very stable. So to go from iron to the heavier elements require a different kind of process, which may or may not happen. And if gravity wins at any point in all of this, then literally the star is too heavy and it's not doing enough nuclear reactions, so it cannot keep going, and it collapses upon itself, collapses upon its own gravitation. So that's literally the core collapse supernova, and apparently those are the more common ones, according to this. Type 2 supernovae slightly more common than type 1a. So this is an expanding nebula around the nova GK Persei. This is a nova example and an expanding nebula. So after a nova happens, or pop quiz, I did a pop quiz. Yeah, it's kind of like a firework. So expanding nebula around the nova GK Persei, basically that's what we get, right? When there's a nova, there's this expanding material around it. Even the supernova ultimately will have this expanding material, which is, we call those like a nebula, gas cloud, whatever. And ultimately it can make planets like us. So it's really very interesting and exciting. Oh, thank you. I love your comments. Keep on going, Kimmy. I love it. I love all the comments, especially the related ones, related to the live ones. So it's really, really nice of you. Very helpful. Thank you. I'm super supportive of your channel. Thanks. Universe is a giant expanding nova. No. So the universe is not... Universe, remember, we talked about cosmic inventory.